Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. It is a cold morning, but not raining. So no excuses of it rained, which many people use. But for January, I can't excuse them because we have two rain seasons, and January is usually not a rainy month in Uganda here, despite the fact that we have had a few showers here and there, but today it hasn't. So please don't use that excuse. It won't work for you. Neither jam. You're also well convinced that if you use the route that there is jam, and beginning Monday, things may be a bit tighter because our guests will be in the country. Of course, advanced teams are already there, but also we're expecting now about 25 heads of states have already confirmed their presidency to be part of the NAM summit, and then later we shall have also the G77 plus China. So you must be well prepared so that you don't get any of these inconveniences. But it is an honor for our country to host such big summits. Now, today we want to look at strategic positioning of cooperatives into new opportunities. Now, we know that a number of countries, their economies have grown based on the cooperative model. Great nations, you can mention United Kingdom, you can mention Germany, you can mention Switzerland, to mention but a few. But here in Uganda, we've made breakthroughs here and there, though we still have so much to learn when it comes to how cooperatives work. Many people still have what they term the good olden days of cooperatives, where they would go to hospitals, they went to school because of cooperatives. Now, joining me on set this morning, I have the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Ivan Asimwe, with me, a man I'm soon naming cooperatives because he's so passionate, and anywhere you meet him, even if it's an introduction ceremony, he will not forget to tell you about cooperatives. Cooperatives, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening, our viewers, and Happy New Year. You are very right when you call me cooperatives, because I've been in cooperatives now. These are 21 years.
Oh,
yes, 21 years, and I'm very lucky because I think I'm the only person who started as the smallest person in a circle, a cashier of a circle. And I've grown through the entire process up to the level of a general secretary. So this one gives me an opportunity. A cashier, an accountant, an assistant manager, a manager, a general manager of a circle. Then I crossed UCA, head of audit and supervision, agribusiness manager, manager compliance, and general manager. So you are very right when you call me cooperative.
Now, even before we go any further, when you talk about cooperatives, briefly, for our listener, for our viewer to understand what cooperatives are, because there is so much in the minds of many people that you find when you talk about cooperatives, for them they'll just rush to agree cooperatives. But it's a broader picture. So let's have a definition of this.
Oh, fine. Once again, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate in a special way UBC for always giving us the opportunity to come and learn. Learning is a process, so nobody can know it all, and the world is changing. So ideally, when we talk about cooperatives, you are very right. Whenever you talk about cooperatives in this country, many people think of agriculture. They talk of Bugisu, Banyankole, but cooperatives are in all sectors of the economy. Talk about finance, those are circles. Savings and credit cooperative organizations. You talk about energy, we have them in energy. Talk about Paidabim, talk about Chegegwa, talk about Tunyagak, talk about Bundibujo. Those are energy cooperatives. Talk about agricultural production and marketing, then you are talking about like Banyankole, Bugisu, Sebei, Eregon, East Acholi, West Acholi, East Mengo, West Mengo, Wamara, all of those are in agriculture. Talk about transport, Uganda Cooperative Transport Union, Awakule Nume in Kampala, the borders, you see them. Talk about housing, we have them. Talk about water and environment, cooperatives. So in other words, cooperatives are not only in agriculture, but in all sectors of the economy. And I'm happy to inform Ugandans that we have moved very far now. We are talking about close to 50,000 registered cooperatives. And here we are talking about primary societies. Primary cooperatives are those societies formed by individuals, me and you, a minimum of 30. Let's say we are cattle keepers. We come together, we form a primary society. A minimum of 2 primary societies, when they come together, they form a union of secondary nature. Then when the secondary unions come together, they form a tertiary. Then when you get tertiary and secondary unions together, you form Uganda Cooperative Alliance, which is the apex body. Now when you bring Uganda Cooperative Alliance, plus the Kenya Cooperative Alliance, the Tanzanian Cooperative Federation, the Brazil, the America, whichever, you bring them together, you form the International Cooperative Alliance. That is the structure. I bother myself to explain this, because some people, when you are here, people ask you, what's the difference between UC and Ukusku? Ukusku is a union below Uganda Cooperative Alliance. It is a secondary union because the members of Ukusku are circles. So that is the structure, and also other unions. Now, when you talk about a cooperative, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of defining it, but ideally, a cooperative is where me and you, having understood our challenge, having understood what we want, we come together, like the Banyarwanda say, mwirira nechera mujanya. You come together, let's combine our efforts. Either we are farmers, either we are journalists, like now you are journalists. But you may realize our challenge is that we are making some little money, but we cannot save it. We need to save our money. We need to access loans, because it is so challenging for us to access better loans. So how do we solve this problem? Let us form a circle, and that circle will be called a cooperative. So ideally it means that a cooperative is owned by you people, initiated by you, or controlled by you, used by you, and benefiting you as members. That is why when you go into the real definition of a cooperative, then it is an autonomous association of persons who are united voluntarily to meet their social, economic, cultural needs and aspirations, because you know where you are heading. As farmers, you want to access the market. And then you also bring in the issue of democratic control. Members themselves elect their leaders. You elect the boards, you elect the supervisory, you elect the vetting committee. That is a cooperative. And the cooperatives are based on principles. That's why a cooperative is not a company. A cooperative is a cooperative. So I need to inform Ugandans, because especially you go to lawyers, whenever there is a problem in cooperatives, a lawyer very fast wants to go to court, forgetting that a cooperative is not a company. Now you go to the accountants. Accountants, unfortunately, we don't study cooperatives. We study company. Now it is a bit hard for you to differentiate between a cooperative and a company, because we have the International Financial Reporting Standards and the International Public Sector Accounting. So in all that, we do not deeply understand the cooperatives, and yet you need to audit cooperatives. So you need now to read and understand the difference between a cooperative and a company, because a cooperative is based on 7 principles. The principle of voluntary and open membership, the principle of democratic member control, economic member participation, there is autonomy and independence, there is education, training and information, there is cooperation among cooperatives, and then there is community concern. And then based on 4 pillars, the pillar of ownership, pillar of control, pillar of user benefit, and then usage. So once you bring all of those together, you really understand that a cooperative is very unique. And that's why we bother ourselves to come here. And that's why I'm so grateful with UBC. The fact that you give us this opportunity to educate Ugandans. And we have a bigger task, even to go deeper to educate the policymakers.
To better understand.
To better understand, so that we come up with the better laws, better policies for something that we know, not something we seem to know, and yet we don't know it.
Now, that said, it's clear explains that the man has been the cooperative movement for over 20 years and, of course, understands this very, very well. Now, last year was full of activity from Uganda Cooperative Alliance. So much happened. And among the outstanding issues, because you did conduct a number of trainings, and that was for commercial officers throughout the country in the 4 divisions that you chose. Now, the outstanding for me last year was the journey to establish a cooperative bank.
True.
We're in a new year. We want to look at what is it that you have this year for cooperatives and how far. I'm very eager, very excited to look at a bank where someone can go and their aim is not maximization of profit, but rather ensuring that the members' welfare is the first priority.
Wow, very interesting. And that is why still I come back to you, because last year you really gave us the opportunity to explain and to educate Ugandans. I'm telling you, after these programs, I received calls around in November, December. People really are so grateful with the UBC. And they are saying, other TV stations, other radio stations, why don't you give us the opportunity? We are giving you money in advertisements, but you are not creating this opportunity to educate, sensitize Ugandans. Because Uganda, based on the current opportunities, Uganda is ripe for cooperatives. There is no way, Chirabo, and I've been telling Ugandans, we are not going to use magic to socially and economically transform this country. When I talk about socio-economic transformation, I mean sustainable. Where we are looking at today and the future. How are we going to have an economy that is sustainable without using the cooperative model? We'll be deceiving ourselves.
And actually, many people don't know that government, majority of this initiative are under a cooperative model. For example, when we talk about the parish development model, Pillar 3, entirely that is all about cooperatives.
Yes,
even Pillar 1,
yes,
actually almost all pillars, production, and this is a cooperative. When you talk about youth livelihood, when you talk about GLOW, when you talk about all these programs, they have the element of circles. Now this credit savings, that is a cooperative. So unless we better understand, the only mistake sometimes that happens is we don't do things right, we do them in a similar way. That, for example, circles, very interesting, people say, yes, they are cooperatives. But when you dig deep, their formation slightly digress from what a true cooperative should be. Yes.
Thank you so much. You know, you are very right. And we don't entirely blame Ugandans, because how many of Ugandans have studied cooperatives? Just reading in a textbook like this and you think you understand cooperatives? No. You need to read. You need to study. Like I've told Ugandans, our neighbors here are teaching cooperatives up to PhD level. So Ugandans don't think that just reading a small book or attending a seminar, then you understand the cooperatives. You need to read. You need time to understand, to internalize cooperatives. It's a lot. There is a lot that we need to understand. And that's why sometimes we make mistakes. But we are there. Let them engage us. Like you have talked about the PDM. When you read the 7 pillars of PDM, just summarize them. It means the cooperative model. When you bring them together, all the 7, from pillar 1, you talk about production, aggregation, value addition, and marketing. Cooperatives are already there. We have the Ankole Coffee Producers Cooperative Union, which is doing the same model. whereby farmers, through their primary societies, they access inputs together, they produce, they aggregate through at the primary level, then all that aggregation comes to the union level, value is added, and it is exported. And the farmers get 3 payments. There is the first payment, there is the second payment, which is a profit, and there is a third payment, which is a premium. Can you imagine? So if those farmers were not in that cooperative union, ideally the premium would be going to an individual. That's why I do not believe in capitalism. Capitalism promotes an individual at the expense of the majority, whereas cooperatives promote all people together. And if you are to really develop a third world like Uganda, you need to bring all people in the equation. And the only model that can bring people together in the same equation is the cooperative model, not capitalism. Capitalism, you find one rich person in a village surrounded by poor people. And it is very unfortunate and very risky when you are very rich and you are surrounded by poor people. They will never allow you to progress. They even come and kill your animals. So the model that will bring them together, instead of progressing alone and you have problems, better bring all these farmers together so that they can aggregate their milk if they are cattle keepers, and then you are able to grow together. You know, when you are together growing, there is love, there is passion, there is harmony. Do you know that environment? But you know, there is our PS the other day was on TV and was saying, Ugandans are not sleeping, all of us. The rich, you are even scared of the people surrounding you. Yes, because you are rich and these guys are poor. So they even, every day when they are praying to God, they even want you to die. So you will not even get blessings from God.
And the poor are not sleeping?
And the poor are not sleeping because they are hungry. You can't sleep when you are hungry. So both of us are not stable. So for you to create that stability, move together using a cooperative model. So you have mentioned at the start that many developed economies have done so because of cooperatives. Ideally, I 100% agree. Go to Europe, go to Netherlands, my friend, cooperatives. Germany, France, UK, Sweden, name them. Go to America, Brazil, go to Asia Pacific, South Korea, go to Thailand, go to Malaysia, go to Singapore, go to India. My God. Now that other people have done it, Ugandans, what don't we see? Why is it that our eyes are covered? Are they ideally covered, or we are doing it intentionally?
We're just passing on opportunities.
We are just passing on opportunities, which is very unfortunate. I think God can never be happy with us.
Now, with that said, a cooperator watching us, a person who belongs to a union that is under Uganda Cooperative Alliance, wants to know what is therein for this year.
So, before I come to this year, you talked about whatever achievements we made last year. It's better to begin with the achievements and then we move forward. Very happy and very interesting. Last year was a year of progress all through. Training and engagement of the commercial officers. Very fantastic, because there is no way we are going to talk about an economy without empowering the foot soldiers who are the commercial officers. I want to urge government, please invest money where it needs to be invested if we are to socially and economically transform this country. Look at the commercial officers. I'm very happy with the government. They earmarked money through UCA and we engaged the commercial officers, and this was very fantastic. We had the launch of the cooperative bank establishment, which was very fantastic. It was done by our minister, and the cabinet cleared it. I want to thank His Excellency, who gave us a leeway and okayed us that let's go ahead and establish a cooperative bank. I want to tell listeners and viewers, if you have a cooperative bank in this country, work will be easy. It will be very easy for you to access affordable and appropriate finance, which is lacking. We have very many commercial banks and MFIs, but are they providing appropriate and affordable financing? The only solution is the cooperative bank. Let me tell you an example. If you went to Netherlands today, they have the Rabobank. Rabobank, by 2022-2023, its total assets were 628.5 billion euros. Don't use your calculator. The figure doesn't fit there. It's a lot of money. If you are to change it to shillings, forget about your calculator.
So I give up.
Give up.
Okay, let me give up.
Now, you go to our neighbors here in Kenya. The Cooperative Bank of Kenya, by last year, it was worth 5.29 billion US dollars. I don't know whether it can also fit there.
Doing my mathematics.
Now, the last time I checked, that the largest bank here in Uganda had the total assets of 2.6 billion US dollars. So meaning that the Cooperative Bank of Kenya is times 2, double in size. So what does it mean? It means that people have seen the magic. People have really realized, including our neighbors here in Kenya, that you cannot socially and economically transform an economy when you are still promoting capitalism. You need to promote cooperativism. Cooperativism is where you bring people together. You know, sometimes people amuse me. When you talk about private sector in Uganda, and you hear everybody, we are supporting private sector. The question is, who is the private sector? Who is he? Go to financial sector. Who is he? How many Ugandans are there? You go to insurance. How many are there? So, private sector, what do you mean? You go to Chikubo, they say, private sector is in Chikubo.
People aren't working for government. They have begun their own ways. They have gotten their money. They are in business, the private.
And you are busy jubilating that you have a private sector which is importing goods from the developed world, just creating a market for their products. You should be happy when you are looking at your people producing and exporting. That is when you should be very happy that you have a private sector. But a private sector that is importing, you go to Chikubo, look at how many products are produced here. China, Europe, and America. So that is the private sector you're talking about. I know they are there, a few are there. But when you are looking at private sector, how do you then use a cooperative model? How do you, for example, bring all these people in a Katwe who are doing the fabrication, support them in a cooperative instead of supporting them as individuals, and eventually a foreigner comes with a heavy machine and they are driven out of the market? How do you support them so that at the end of it, these guys even have the capacity to start producing these heavy machinery? They will start producing vehicles here. These people have the capacity. If someone who has started is not educated, but he has started just with the fabrication, then how do you support them using the cooperative approach? So that we now move away from the rudimentary, we now move to the next level. How do you, for example, support the coffee farmers? So that the coffee farmers, instead of exporting raw coffee, and you get little money, you can imagine. That's what I always talk about poor. We produce our coffee here. Uganda is the second largest producer of coffee in Africa. And now I think 7 is in the world. You produce our coffee and we just donate it to other people.
The Western world.
And then we return a finished product which cannot even be bought by me in a supermarket called Nescafe. So why don't we instead say, let's support these farmers. Let's educate them. You see, supporting doesn't mean giving money.
True.
No, support means build their capacities, come up with better policies, let's create a fund for these people to access, because the limiting factors now includes financing. You want to start a project, but the problem is money.
You lack the finances.
The finances are there, the money is there in the banks. But now you want to start a factory. Before you start even clearing the foundation, you need to start paying back. So it ideally, you are limited by financing. Not that the money is not there, but it's not appropriate.
Just I have to remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion by simply using the number on your screen to send me a WhatsApp message or a text message. But let me have your name as well. I just have one who has sent a message here. I'm so happy to hear you engaged commercial officers too. Then I didn't get your name, neither where you're watching from. Please kindly do that in case you ask to send a message regarding the topic of the day. Now, that well explained, I must try to believe that many of our viewers now understand cooperatives, how they can really transform this economy. Government as well does that because it is the model they're using. If you've noticed, any money being given out by government today through policy, it is not given to individuals. Most of these monies, people are told, form groups. Then government will be able to use those groups as to channel money through them. It's not more so much, very few government programs that target an individual to get money. They are using that model with a few challenges here and there, but that is what they are doing. Even when you look at the PDM, when you look at the grant for elderly, you know, under Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, still it's not one individual. You must be more than one. The principles could be a bit different. The methodology used, but that principle of coming together is a thing they look at. Now, this year, what are you targeting?
Very good. Based on the progress of last year, we are now strategically positioning cooperatives. Strategically positioning.
How?
Because we no longer want to continue talking, but rather go into real actions. Number one, the issue of the cooperative bank, like I've mentioned. Fortunately, it was initiated last year, and where we are heading now, this month or next month, we are having the regional consultative meetings. Because last year, we had the national consultative meeting, and all stakeholders present ideally believe that we need to establish a cooperative bank. So this year, we are beginning with the regional consultative meetings where we want to meet the cooperators downwards. And still, I want to thank the government because the government has created this fund for us to be able to meet these people. Now, another thing strategically, you know, Uganda is a country gifted by nature. It's the pearl of Africa. So meaning that we are seated on gold, but we have not woken up. We have not really known that there is gold. Just talk about agriculture. So how do we want to position these cooperatives? We want to go into real value addition and marketing. Still, I want to appreciate the government. Government has done a lot. You know, when you come here and talk about government programs and achievements, people try to bring in what has destroyed us here is too much politics. People don't want to know what good things have been done. They only want to criticize and such things. No, for us cooperators, that's not our business. We are not in politics. We are looking at how best can you bring everybody in the equation. So government has done a lot. When you talk about agro-processing facilities, are you aware that there are lots and lots of agro-processing facilities down there? Yes, down there. Just talk about the
Whenever talk about that, they will bring salty fruit factory.
The Agricultural Cluster Development Project, ACDP, in the Ministry of Agriculture. They supported farmers with over 275 agro-processing facilities. Talk about CAIP.
Are they functioning?
I'm still coming. Community Agriculture Infrastructure Improvement Program under Ministry of Local Government. They constructed, they were supporting dairy, rice, maize, coffee, and other enterprises. The machines are there, down. But the challenge, then you talk about NADs, talk about other programs, they are there. But the challenge was, they brought these facilities without preparing the farmers. So once you do it like this. The other day I was somewhere deep in Kabale during Christmas. I visited there, and I found a facility which is idle in a village. So when I tried to ask some people, people said, no, this is for a certain individual, he's processing for us. I said, But when I went to check, just near the door, it is the Ministry of Local Government. But I said, this is a government facility. So, but farmers are not aware. This now facility has changed from farmers' hands to an individual. And an individual is now exploiting the farmers. So what we need now strategically, what we are focusing on, is enlightening these farmers, making sure that these facilities are fully functional. You asked about it. Most of them are non-functional. And even in the study done by Ministry of Finance, it shows that most of these facilities are non-functional. Now, those ones are facilities for government. How about the facilities owned by cooperatives? They are there. You go to these old unions. They have their factories, they are there. They have their buildings. They have all the infrastructure. But much of it is idle. So what we can do, we really want to partner with the government and development partners. How do we make these facilities function? That is one of the strategies. Also, the next strategy is about cooperative education. How do we work? I'm very happy. The other day they invited me, last year I think in December, they invited me for a meeting. The National Curriculum Development Center and other stakeholders are trying, I think they have heard whatever we've been talking about here regarding cooperative education. So within the invitation letter, they are now looking at upgrading our colleges into universities and degree awarding institutions, so that we move away from the certificate and diplomas in the cooperatives, but rather go to degrees, masters and PhDs. So strategically we are also focusing on that. We want to partner with everybody to make sure that we champion the cooperative education in this country. The other issue is of course oil and gas. Do you know there is a lot of potential? Everybody is now positioning him or herself in oil and gas. How about the cooperatives? Where are we? So, and ideally, if you went to other developed world, the cooperatives are there in oil and gas. So we also, in fact, I want to call upon the Petroleum Authority. Let's sit together. If we want sustainability of this economy, how do we position the cooperatives in the oil and the gas? How do we? The other day, someone told me that they are supporting people within Bunyoro to form cooperatives.
Yes, that is true.
That is true. I asked them, who is involved? Who knows cooperatives? Among those, the so-called consultants, who knows them? So you listen. Tomorrow they will say, you know, these things are not sustainable. Why? But the money has already gone out. Please, let's work together. Investment Authority. I have been seeing Investment Authority, Uganda Investment Authority. They are running up and down, going to Europe, going to Germany to look for investors. But the investors are here.
They are being left home.
Can you imagine? Why should you leave investors here at home?
A matter of organizing them properly.
You are going to Europe and America to look for investors. The investors are here.
Ivan, allow me to read a few messages that are coming in here. Good morning. Thank you so much for that discussion. I am Kule Isaac, watching from Kasese. Some of government programs have lost step to fall. People get tired on the way. There's no education on other programs. Greetings from Renzori Coffee and Horticulture Farmers Cooperative Society Limited, Kasese. Thank you so much. Then it pains me when government keeps quiet on products losing value in price. Look at maize in Irira here. A kilo is at 600 shillings. Imagine all this. Government is silent. What if we had cooperatives? That is Emmanuel Okidi Ale Butong District. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And I am so happy to hear you engaged commercial officers. That is Eastern from Arua here. I am grateful to both of you in the studios. Glad to be part of the cooperative movement and having been amongst the core stakeholders in forming an agricultural cooperative for rice farmers in Deep Terego 2 years ago. I am humbled and identify very much with the discussion, and I'm learning. Thank you so much. Please, let's make these messages slightly shorter. Please, please, please. They help save time. Ooh. Thanks for the program. I'm Muchunguzi Jerevario, the Guild President of Chera Agricultural Training College in Mbarara. I'm watching live from Mbarara. He thanks us for the program and says, yes, the right way to go is cooperatives. Now I'll just read one from the texts. And good morning. Well, please, let's stick to the topic of the day. One says, okay, bright idea. Unfortunately, government seems reluctant on people coming together. It prefers individualistic approach of support. PDM, now labeled personal, no. Okay, well, he's saying government is looking at giving money on individual merit. But I think if you did more research, you'll find that most of government programs, they're talking about coming together, forming circles, which are cooperatives, and then that is how government is giving out money. For example, even the PDM, that is the process they are following. Youth livelihood, the GLOW program that is on, even when you go to northern Uganda, NUSAF and all these, you find that they is still dealing with individuals. As we wind up.
First of all, I want to thank the viewers. You can really see that Ugandans are much ready for the cooperatives, like it has happened in Europe and America, because we cannot continue lamenting. You know, in the Bible, there is a book of lamentation, there is a book of Revelation and Acts. So Ugandans forget about lamentation. Now that there is a revelation, let's move forward and start acting. And we can act if we come together through cooperatives. Now, I want to correct one of the viewers who says that the government likes supporting individuals. Maybe we have not been there, maybe some Ugandans, or we have not been concentrating. When you talk about the PDM, the parish development model, it is bringing people together using the circle methodology. You talk about Emyoga, the different skills coming together in groups, and then they get support. Yes, I know there are implementation challenges, but ideally, this is why, in fact, it is part of our strategies this year, that how do we work with the government? How do we work with everybody to make sure that the PDM, Emyoga, and other programs become a success? Let's understand, let's carry out a diagnostic study and see where are the challenges. I've been invited to Makerere. Makerere has come up with research, certain professors. They have studied the functionality of the PDM, how PDM has succeeded. And I have gone through it. So we are yet to have a stakeholders meeting. And these are issues that we are going to put on table and see if the implementation challenges, how best, now that we understand the cooperatives, we have a full-fledged ministry for cooperatives. How do we work together to make sure that we make PDM, Emyoga, and other programs a success? So it is up to me and you, Chirabo, not to keep lamenting, but rather to join hands. If there are mistakes, let's correct them and move this country. Because we all belong to this country. It's our motherland. So let's see how to move together. The other strategy is on tourism. You know, tourism brings a lot of money in this economy. So how do we position the cooperatives, for example, to be in the tourism sector? And we are also focusing on that. So there is a lot. You go to education sector, you know, a lot is happening. There are lots of opportunities in this country. But our role as Uganda Cooperative Alliance is to educate, sensitize the masses, so that eventually we all take advantage of these opportunities. Why should we wait for the foreigners to come and develop the country when me and you are there? We educated.
Well, we can't keep on passing on opportunities repeatedly, which is that, which stands for poor. Not lack of money, but passing on opportunities repeatedly. Ivan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And above all, our viewers, those that have sent messages, my friend from Kotido, yes, some of them were a bit tough. But thank you so much for being part of the show. And wherever you are and you've been watching now, Ruben is up with sports. I'll return later in the next hour. Till then, I'll move out with Ivan and we'll continue discussing cooperatives all along. Thank you so much.
But I forgot to congratulate you.
Ivan.
I saw you. You were the best presenter over here.
No, those were
And
in-house.
it is because of the cooperatives.
Hey!
Yes.
Good
No,
day,
if
good
you
day.
want to succeed in life,
Good day.
better be a cooperator.
Good day,
And
good
support us. You get all the blessings. Thank you so much.